Well, hello. This was our first full day in Bergen, and it was really, really busy. Bergen is a city, the second largest in Norway, and population-wise, about the size of Fort Wayne, but far, far more cosmopolitan. And it's surrounded by 7 mountains. It has access to the ocean via its fjords, and so it's really quite beautiful. It was the original capital of Norway, and it's pretty clear that people in Bergen feel really proud of their city and feel like they're at least the cultural capital of Norway. So anyway, we had breakfast nearby. Our neighborhood is really kind of a neat neighborhood. The buildings are all kind of industrial. The apartments are nice, but the neighborhood is full of parks, public art, really nice restaurants, boats in the fjords, bridges. It's just really a very nice neighborhood. So we had breakfast, saw the neighborhood a little bit, and then went down to city center, and we had a historical walking tour. Now, again, this is the fjord there. The fish market is there, and the fish market is really important to Bergen. Norway has 3% farmable land, and so what they didn't have was food. What they did have is lots and lots of fish, not from southern Norway, but from northern Norway, and they would be the cod would be hung and to dry in the cold, dry air, and for about 3 months, and then they could be stored for up to 7 years, and then you just hydrate them by putting them in water for a week. And so this fish stock was brought down here, and it was traded for grains. So it became really important. And then the Hanseatic League moved in, and this was that large trading group in northern Germany and the whole area there, Lithuania, Estonia, and they were involved in Bergen for 400 years. So you have that going on. You have the country changing hands, and so it became part of Denmark, and then part of Denmark and Sweden, and then Denmark again, and then they were on the wrong side of the Napoleonic Wars, so Sweden, and finally in 1905, Norway got its independence. It's important because it hits the history here, but also the art. So the most important statue in town is of the man who negotiated or navigated the independence. You get a sense of how much this country suffered under Nazi occupation. Part of the the UN heritage site that we were at were the trading buildings of the Hanseatic League. And so you'll see a building and realize that there was 5 to 7 behind them. And this is for all the trading. They have been there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. During the Nazi occupation, the buildings were the quarters for the Nazis. In the 50s, one of the buildings caught on fire and it burnt a bunch down. And there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm for rebuilding these, even though it was really important because it was associated with the Nazis. But when they started evacuating or excavating to put up new buildings, they found all of this history. And so they created this museum. But they also realized that, there were things here from the 1400s. And so they finally, again, realized the importance of this site, and it is today quite incredible. And so we were there. We were in the harbor, which is extremely active, and the fish market, and then walking around all the old buildings that are now restaurants and art museums, and it's really beautiful. In the evening, we walked around our own neighborhood, which was very enjoyable, and we're able to walk from there back to the center. Tomorrow, we plan on getting back to focusing on the area, but also for me, back to sustainability and the environment. And even today, the tour guide talked about that because it's having an impact. Global climate's having an impact on the fishing industries. It's having an impact on in terms of the weather and what's available, and it's certainly impacting the budgets of cities so that they become as green as possible. But tomorrow we want to start at the University of Bergen's Natural History Museum and spend time there. And then in afternoon, we'll be taking a fjord cruise. And so really getting a sense of place here and the sense of the natural world here. So that's it. It was a great day. It was beautiful. We had more fish to eat today, and talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye. Okay, Julia Meek. I am in Bergen, and this is by the UN Historical Heritage Site. And these are the buildings of the Hanseatic League, and I'm picturing them and talking to you because they look a lot like your artwork. That's all. Take care. Bye. Bergen, the UNESCO Heritage Site, is on the harbor. The buildings were 5 to 7 buildings deep. These were the warehouses for the medieval Hanseatic traders. Here, southern Norway and northern Norway were connected, and Norway was connected to Europe. In front of the buildings were beer and cafe gardens, the harbor, and the fish market. The narrow alleys protected visitors from the weather and were like magic gates to secret spaces. We walked the halls and visited artisan shops, restaurants, and historical sites. Bergen was founded in 1070 AD. The Hanseatic League, which connected northern German, Baltic, and Nordic states, was created in 1350.
The League was active in Bergen from the 12th century until 1754. At that time, the land was turned over to Norway. Bergen is the site of numerous fires. Two of the most famous fires were in 1702 and 1955. The latter fire triggered traumatic memories of German occupation during the Second World War. It also made clear to the citizens of Bergen that the site was the home of peoples and cultures, kingdoms, trade, and innovation, and a place worthy of being restored. The citizens of Bergen once again treasured the treasure that was Bergen. In 1955, parts of the medieval Hanseatic League wooden structures burnt down. Due to its recent association with the occupying German soldiers, many called for the remainder of the buildings to be torn down. However, after 13 years of excavation, centuries of history was discovered. The result was a renewed pride in such a rich historical record. The result was that instead of destruction, there was restoration and also the creation of the Bergen Museum, which was founded in 1976. The University of Bergen Natural History Museum is an impressive place. You walk down the halls gazing at the exhibits while you are aware postgraduate students are doing valuable research and school children are migrating the halls like herd animals, wandering in search of wonder. Both find it. The museum is internationally recognized. It holds over 2 million specimens of animals, plants, fungi, and minerals. It has the largest collection of marine invertebrates in Norway. Permanent exhibits include the Norwegian North Sea Expedition 1876-78 and the Michael Sars Expedition 1910. The museum is home to study programs, postgraduate study programs, and the Research School on Biosystematics. My most vivid memory is learning about the plastic whale. It was a whale that died from the consumption of plastics. Children are introduced to the species, the whale, and the story. They then write out their reactions, which often ends up as letters to government leaders about climate change, pollution, and loss of habitat. I suspect many children had their inner green light turned on while standing in the hall viewing the whale and learning its fate. After visiting harbors and fjords in Oslo, Tromso, and Bergen, after visiting the Fram Museum and the Kon-Tiki Museum, it was appropriate to visit Bergen's Maritime Museum. The museum covers the entire expanse of Norwegian seafaring. They start with Vikings but move to shipbuilding, school ships, sails, and steam sailing, the two world wars, fjord boats, and tankers. This is the land where cod was dried far above the Arctic Circle and shipped to southern Norway. It is the land of discovery, of trade, and of war. This museum captured that story and made it accessible to this Midwest landlocked traveler.
That's cool. Excuse me?
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, so much.
Hold on.
Like so many visitors to Bergen, we rode the Floibmen funicular cable car. To the top of Mount Floyen, tourists and locals enjoy the ride and love the view. At the top of Mount Floyen, you can look down on the harbor, the fjords, and the mountains. Along the hill are free-roaming mountain goats. There are trails, restaurants, playgrounds, cafes, and trolls. So many trolls. School children of all ages are expected to go outside every day, no matter the weather, and have fun in nature. That is an essential part of the Norwegian educational experience. Here they can play in an all-natural playground. They can hike up hills and mountains and follow trails, and they can walk among the trolls. The children always gather on time to go home because they do not want to be eaten by the trolls. Seriously, would you want to be a troll snack? This is the Norway I know, welcoming, modern, and yet proud of its past. A Norway that values its youth, works to protect its environment, and never ever gets tired of appreciating all of its natural beauty. We ended our visit at the cafe. I had hot chocolate and Kerri had the birds eating out of her hand. This is a magical place.
Sjefen, liksom.
right.